For the first time ever, an American F-15 Eagle has been shot down in combat, and the country behind it, Iran. This wasn't supposed to happen. The F-15 isn't just another fighter jet. It's been the backbone of US air dominance for decades, a machine designed with one simple philosophy: win every fight and never be touched. And for over 40 years, that's exactly what it did. More than 100 confirmed kills, 0 losses in air-to-air combat. That record wasn't just impressive, it was untouchable, almost mythological, until now. Somewhere over contested airspace, that myth collapsed in seconds. 2 American pilots ejected into hostile territory. One has already been recovered, the other still missing. And that changes everything, because this isn't just about a jet going down, it's about what had to happen for something like this to even be possible. Nobody engages an F-15 lightly, not unless they believe they can win. And that's where this story gets uncomfortable. Because early indicators suggest this wasn't luck. It wasn't a random missile shot into the sky. This was structured, deliberate. Iran has spent years building something most analysts underestimated: a layered air defense network designed not just to deter, but to trap. We're talking about radar systems operating in multiple frequencies, overlapping coverage zones, and integration with long-range surface-to-air missiles. But here's the key detail most people are missing. This wasn't about the missile. The missile was just the final move. Before that, there was detection, then tracking, then electronic pressure, possibly even jamming. The F-15, a platform designed to dominate older systems, may have been pulled into an engagement where the rules were completely different. And by the time the pilots realized it, it was already too late. The engagement itself was fast, violently precise. The aircraft wasn't obliterated instantly. That's important, because it tells us something critical. The pilots had time to eject, which means the jet was hit, but not destroyed in one catastrophic explosion. It was a controlled kill. That suggests high confidence from the system that fired. And that should worry a lot of people, because it implies Iran didn't just fire blindly. They knew exactly what they were doing. But what happened in the air is only half the story. What happened after may be even more dangerous. The moment those pilots landed, the situation transformed completely. This was no longer an aerial engagement. It became a race. On one side, US search and rescue teams. On the other, Iranian forces scanning the same terrain. Because a downed pilot isn't just a soldier, he's intelligence, training, procedures, operational patterns. Everything becomes exposed under interrogation, and both sides know it. One of the pilots has already been recovered, and that alone tells you how intense the operation must have been. Rapid deployment, tight coordination, high risk. But the second pilot, still missing, and time is not on his side, because the longer he remains on the ground, the higher the probability that Iranian units get to him first. And if that happens, this situation escalates instantly. Imagine the scenario. Captured US pilot. Images released globally. Statements forced under pressure. It's not just a military issue anymore. It becomes political, strategic, explosive, and Washington knows this, which is why, right now, there's almost certainly a classified operation underway to locate that pilot before anyone else does. Drones, satellites, signals, intelligence, everything is being used, because failure here isn't just a loss. It's leverage handed directly to Iran. But step back for a moment, because something much bigger just happened. For decades, US military doctrine has relied on a single assumption: total control of the skies. Air superiority wasn't optional, it was guaranteed. That assumption just took a hit, and not a small one. Because if Iran can successfully engage and destroy an F-15, then the entire risk calculation changes, not just for the US, for everyone. Allies start asking questions. Adversaries start gaining confidence. And suddenly, the most dominant air force in the world looks vulnerable, even if just for a moment. But moments like this, they reshape strategy for years. Now here's where most people stop. They focus on the shock, the headlines, the immediate tension, but that's not where the real story is. The real story is what comes next. Because every time a dominant system fails, money moves fast. And right now, there are three areas absorbing attention behind the scenes. The first, advanced air defense systems, because if one country can do this, others will want the same capability. The second, unmanned warfare. Drones don't get captured, they don't become political liabilities, and they're getting more capable every year. The third, and this is the one most people overlook, is electronic warfare, because if this engagement was shaped before the missile was even launched, then control of the electromagnetic spectrum is becoming more important than the aircraft itself, invisible warfare, decided before the first shot is fired, and that leads to a shift most people aren't ready for. The future of dominance won't be about who has the best fighter jets. It will be about who can deny the enemy the ability to use theirs. That's a completely different battlefield, and this incident just accelerated that transition. But everything still hinges on one unresolved variable: the missing pilot. If he is recovered, this remains a contained crisis. Serious, yes, but manageable. If he is captured, everything changes. Escalation risk spikes. Political pressure builds. Global markets react. Because uncertainty creates tension, but escalation, that creates movement, and movement creates opportunity. A single aircraft has fallen, a record has been broken, and somewhere on the ground, a clock is ticking. This isn't just a military incident, it's a signal, a warning, and for those paying attention, the beginning of a shift that could redefine the balance of power in the years ahead. Stay ahead of it.